Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to walk you through 10 high concept horror movies and give you an idea of how much money they make and how much success that they've had, with the goal of at some point you having that same kind of success. Now, you can choose to believe that or not, but I will tell you the people who make it in this industry are the ones who decide to believe that. They decide to say yes. They decide to move forward with success in their future. So I'd start imagining right now with every one of these horror movies I'm going to show you, I'd look at it and say, if they did it, I can do it, right? And just start imagining the success over and over again. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about how to create a high concept for horror. And there you'll see it's because it makes it so much easier for you to sell. I'll give you a countdown of the top 10 high concept horror movies from a franchise perspective. And then we'll talk about the upcoming class, creating great terrifying horror scripts. There's one other thing. I'm going to do one other thing that's new and unique and special to this. And actually, I'll tell you about that when we get there. So let's just jump into it. First, what is a high concept? Now, this is, by the way, I think we started teaching high concepts, 15 years ago. On horror, the difference, I had talked with about 100 producers about high concepts and what they were. So what I'm talking about here absolutely works, absolutely makes sense. Having to do with horror, my background is this. I worked for about a year with one of the top horror producers, Sean Cunningham. He owns the Friday the 13th franchise. And we worked on one project, and then I got him a writer for another one, and then a writer for another one after that. So I've had some experience working inside the industry having to do with horror. And everything I'm going to tell you today absolutely makes sense, and you can use it. So start with this. A high concept is a major hook that we haven't seen before. So we're talking, this is your concept, which means it's the overall about the story. But what makes it a high concept is that it's a big hook we haven't seen before. The value, first, it instantly attracts an audience. It can be sold in a 30-second TV spot or in a single sentence on social media. So it makes it easier for people to pitch it to each other. It's easy to go viral because of that. And it increases the chance of selling a script and getting funding to get your movie made, especially in the horror world. In the horror world, coming in with some really unique monster, some really unique situation that these characters are put in that is torturous, having that is absolute gold. So it is worth doing whatever it takes to get to that. Now, the difference between a high concept and a log line. I get this question all the time. A log line looks like this. Main character has this goal, but conflict by opposition. There's about 5 different versions where you just fill in the different parts. I just put this one up just because it was the first one that came to me. And so these, let me just give you one. The top home security salesperson has his home broken into by a gang intent on killing everyone on the night of the purge. That's a log line. Notice it gives you the lead character, right? He has a particular goal, which in this case is to save his family. The conflict is the gang is intent on killing everyone. They're the opposition, and this just happens to be when it's happening, the night of the purge. Now, let me give you the high concept version of this. This is the big hook of a story that is unique in a significant way. Watch the difference between these two. Here's the high concept version. What if for 12 hours, anyone could commit any crime, including murder, and get away with it? Now, this, by the way, does describe that story, right? It's the night of the purge. This gang can get away with killing everybody there because it's the night of the purge, right? This also ends up, because it's the high concept, in this case, it takes us all the way through every purge movie that happens. It's the same. This concept exists in every one of them, and they all have different log lines that fit the story, right? So this is the big hook. If you told this to somebody on the street, somebody you just met, they might listen and go, okay, so it's about a home security salesperson. They might not get real interested, but you say this, when it first came out, everybody was talking about it. It's a completely different world. So, all right, in our countdown, the way I'll do it here, I'll give you the high concept first. I'll give you the movie title and high concept. Then we'll give you the budget of the movie, just for fun. I'll give you the box office of the original film that came out, and then we'll go to the franchise box office so you can see, where does this go? And it should become really clear by the time we've done this. This high concept thing makes a tremendous difference. I know so many people who have written scripts that are not high concept, and they have such a hard time getting somebody to say yes to it. Master the high concept thing, and you are in business in this industry, because they're so much easier to sell, like 10 times easier to sell to the audience, and for the same reason to the producer. So here's number 10, Happy Death Day. Great title. You know, it's a play on Happy Birthday, but it's the other side, Happy Death Day. Here's the concept, and this is actually the high concept here, but a college student relives the day of her murder over and over unless or until she discovers her killer's identity. This is the real high concept. It's Groundhog Day for horror, right? At the point at which this came out, we hadn't yet seen a Groundhog Day for horror. So how'd it do? Budget was $5 million. Box office, $125 million. Franchise, $190 million. This one takes our 10th spot. Let's see what's next. 9, Escape Room. And this one, 6 strangers are invited to compete in a series of escape rooms. One will win $1 million. The rest will die. Okay. Budget was $9 million. Box office, $155. Franchise, $220. Number 8, Smile. This one, came out a couple of years ago. So we haven't seen the full franchise on it yet, probably. Concept, a smile entity haunts victims, causing them to hallucinate people with a disturbing smile who foretell the victim's death. Budget, $17 million for the first one. Box office, $217 million. So it did really well. Franchise so far, $355 million. Again, this thing of coming out with a unique concept, all the rest can be done. The concept is the thing, the high concept, that causes everybody to get out of their chairs, causes everybody to want to see the movie, causes people in this industry to want to work with you. Next one, from a long time ago, A Nightmare on Elm Street. The concept, the spirit of a serial killer kills people in their dreams. If they die in their dreams, they die in real life. So, uh, budget, the original, $2 million. It did 25 million. Remember, this is coming from like 20, 30 years ago. It did 25 million at the box office, which was more than 10 times what it ended up costing. Let's see how it did. Franchise, 472 million. Now, from this point on, everyone we're looking at is right in the $500 million or beyond. And think about this. Just think about how attractive this is. When somebody can make a movie for between 2 to 15 million and make back $500 million for the franchise, that's insane money. This is why it makes it so attractive, and this is why it is so worth it for you to come up with a high concept. The Ring. Anyone who watches a mysterious video dies in 7 days. I remember when this came out, and people were talking about that, and I'm like, what happens if you watch the movie? This one, the budget was 48 million. Pretty expensive on that in that case. Box office 249. So it did pretty well. It made basically 5 times its money on that. Franchise 496 million. So we're approaching $500 million already at that point. Number 5, The Purge. I told you about this one already, but here it is. Let's see how they did. Again, the concept, the high concept. What if for a 12-hour period, anyone could get away with any crime, including murder, and get away with it? Anyone could commit any crime and get away with it. Amazing concept, by the way. I was in a producer's office. I was interviewing him about something else, and he said, yeah, have you heard about the new horror that just got bought? And I was like, oh, what is it? And he told me this. That's what he told me. He didn't tell me anything else. He told me that. And I just went, as soon as he said it, I went, oh my God, that's a franchise. And he goes, yes, it is. Now they hadn't done anything yet. The budget on it was $3 million. Box office, 89 million. So it made back roughly 30 times its budget. That's incredible in this industry. Franchise so far, 532 million. So this has now broken our $500 million mark. And by the way, you know, again, if you can come in with something that's incredible like that, even if you go at these low budgets, if you can somehow stay attached to this project, which means you're already, the moment you make this deal, you're already writing the next one. You're talking with them about the sequel already, those kinds of things. You can end up with some incredible money as a writer. So here comes number 4, A Quiet Place. We've seen this one. I thought, loved the concept also. How does a young family survive when the monster kills the moment you make a sound? Especially, how do you survive when a woman is about to have a baby? Now, by the way, you know, what was their pitch? If it hears you, it kills you. So let's see how they did here. Budget, 17 million. You know, they got this guy in it, and his wife, both who are incredible actors. Box office, 340 million. That's astounding for a movie. You know, to go from 17 to 340, that's a lot of upside there. Franchise so far, 640 million. And we could be going beyond that. So that's number 4. Let's look at number 3. Number 3, Saw. You guys know this one probably very, very well if you spend time with horror. People wake up trapped in a morbid puzzle that requires a gruesome decision. Either kill another or die a horrible death. This one, what I loved about it, what's amazing about it is this. What they basically did was put these characters in these horrible dilemmas that had them have to do something really terrible to survive. And it essentially made them the monster in that situation in order to live. Budget 1 million. Just think about how this one went. Box office 103 million. It made back 100 times its money, but the franchise on this 1.1 billion. Pretty incredible. Now they've had 10 movies. Both of the writers of the original one ended up being part of the project at different levels, and they've both gone on to make $1 billion each in one way or another. A lot of money. I haven't actually tracked it. But they've been part of other franchises. They've been involved in multiple horror movies, both together and separately. This made them wealthy. That's number three. Number two, It. I interviewed the producer of this movie. I got to tell you, he was incredibly happy with its success. So this one, the concept, a nightmarish clown right here, targets kids in a small town manifesting their deepest fears. So budget 35 million. So it was a little more expensive than most of them. Box office 700 million. That's pretty incredible right there. And the franchise so far, 1.18 billion. Now, by the way, anytime you have this kind of success or anything like this, anytime you have, in this case, it made 20 times its money. Is that right? Yeah. So anytime you have it, it's making back 8, 10 times its money, 15, 20, they're almost automatically going to go to sequels. So, this one, I think it's had like 3 or 4, 1.18 billion, which brings us to the top. Number one coming up. Alien. What if you were trapped in a spaceship with an alien predator? So that was the original concept in the very beginning. This is the alien predator who started at this size. He's jumping out of that guy's chest right now, the chest burster. But within the next day, this predator was about the size of a 6'6" or 7-foot tall person. So the original budget, 11 million. Box office, 187 million. Pretty astounding. And this is actually franchise. Sorry about the typo there. Franchise is $1.7 billion. Incredible. Just absolutely incredible. I interviewed one of the writers of this movie. I interviewed, Ronnie Shusett. And he said when they came up with this, he was sleeping on the couch at the other writer's house or their apartment. And he said both of them had almost no money whatsoever. He said they talked about an idea and it was part of it. And then he went to sleep. He woke up the next day and it came to him. And they started from there. Now, if you think about that, we've got the highest box office horror movie that came from somebody who was sleeping on a couch. And the message on that is, you know what, if they can do it, anybody can. The truth of the matter is you can come up with something great if you just know how, and you just have, and you're just willing to keep brainstorming until you get it. So let me let me show you an easier way to do this, because this high concept is the one thing that most people have a real problem with. They come up with a story and they want to flow with that and they create something. But again, if you just look at these, what you can see is almost all of them were fairly low budget. There were a couple that were higher, but most of them were fairly low budget. Most of them were done by writers that were unknown. When Ronnie Shusett and his partner came up with this, nobody'd ever heard of Ronnie. Nobody. And he went on to, he was one of the producers of Minority Report and a bunch of other movies after this. He's had an incredible career that came from coming up with one idea. Now, just start thinking about that. The guys with Saw was the same thing. The two guys with A Quiet Place, same kind of thing. It's the idea that makes it happen. It's the concept. It's the thing that makes that sells this movie and makes it easy for people to say yes to all the way up the chain and once it gets out in the market. So let me just demonstrate this. I'll give you an easier way to do this. Just a second here. So this is ChatGPT. You guys know this. And all we're doing right now, and this is all we're doing with AI, is using it to brainstorm. So we're going to brainstorm potential concepts here, and I'm giving it some very specific things that we need in that particular concept. Here's my idea. Just wanted to show you this. It's a sci-fi horror. A moon-based prison collapses into tunnels that were created by aliens. So this is something I actually used to brainstorm thrillers at one point. But here I thought, you know what? This could work for horror also, because it's something that's isolated. Once it collapses, they're inside there. So let's see what it comes up with. Lunar Warden. High concept, yeah, high security prison collapses. Surviving inmates and guards must cooperate to escape. Okay. Oh, and there's an evolving intelligence that mimics their darkest impulses. All right. Monster, the Echo, an alien neural network embedded in the moon's crust. All right. It replicates memories, voices, personalities. Okay, that could make it interesting. Then it gives an interesting terror, then what makes it isolated, people terrorized. There's one. Let's go look at the second. So I ask it for 3, but it's some very specific things. Red Void, Moonlock, Red Void. Dun, 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 dun. Something ancient awakens below. Not sure. Let's see. The monster is the architect. Dominant alien entity. It uses nanotechnology to reconstruct prisoners into grotesque biochemical sentries. Okay. It's got body horror. Yeah. So there's the second one. Here's the third. The Silver Below. They discover a liquid metal ecosystem hiding a parasitic alien intelligence. Okay, for the moment, let's go with that one. I won't spend any more time on the demo, but let me now show you how we take this to the second level. Just a second here. Because you need to be able to answer these questions. We'll take number 3 here. And here's what this does. This one is about looking at the conventions and taking that project and turning it into the conventions. So the purpose is inducing hysteria. I'm already loving that. And that was actually kind of a cool concept. Uh, Inducing hysteria, reality becomes unstable. Okay. We also are creating isolation. We're on the far side of the moon, right? Cut off from Earth. At the same time, they've dropped into the subterranean tunnels. Yes. Attempts to escape only burrow them deeper into the moon. We've got death. This thing kills by dissolving the body from the inside out. Okay, that's actually kind of interesting. They end up causing horrifying deformities. So metal spikes erupt from the skin. All right, I'm really liking this now. Uh, the monster villain, it's a conscious, formless metal intelligence. It's parasitic, like that. It doesn't just kill, it absorbs, mimics, recycles the bodies and their thoughts. High tension. Let's see. The survivors' neural implants malfunction. Okay, not sure what that means exactly, but we can look at it. Uh, Metallic pools speak to the characters in familiar voices. Okay, that's pretty cool. Departure from reality. Well, it looks like all of this is a departure from reality, but yeah, yeah. So what I'd like you to notice, and then there's a moral statement too. Human over-reliance on technology and control leads to self-erasure. Wow. That's okay. So just notice all the things we created. First, we came up with a high concept and a really cool monster. We made sure that we have the conventions that are going to be required in order to have this movie be promoted. We've taken something that was just a thought and now turned it into a project that you can easily pitch to producers. So knowing that, let's now take this one more step. Basically, you notice that that took me about what? Most 90% of the time was reading it. But that whole thing took about 3-4 minutes. In 3-4 minutes, you can come up with a high concept project. The way we design that prompt actually causes the AI to create things that are new and unique that we haven't seen before. That makes a big difference. So great horror is about smart decisions. Uh, our horror audiences have become very smart, so they're already wanting something that's smart, that's not just something that's, oh, something jumps and nobody knows what it is kind of thing. It isn't just about writing scary moments, it's about creating an audience experience. I have interviewed a lot of people who are avid horror fans, and they are looking for things that are amazing, and it's absolutely possible for you to do that. High concept is what attracts an audience. It is also what causes it to sell. That's important. There are 20 other high-level strategies that you need to make your horror something that really is a smart horror movie. Over and over lately, I've had producers say they're looking for smart horror, that audiences have grown way past just the stuff that just jumps out and scares you. So it's important that you know how to do all of this. So let me just walk you through what we're coming up with, what the class is. And I'll tell you, as part of this class, the prompts that you just saw, tomorrow we will send them to you. As soon as you sign up, I will send the prompts sometime this evening or tomorrow so that you have a chance to go through and brainstorm at least a couple of times. If you do this 3 at a time, you'll be able to consider them, you'll be able to work with them, you'll be able to think about them. And if you do it, 3 or 4 a day for the next 3 days, you'll come up with at least 10 projects and pick the best to take through this class. So here's what the class is. It starts, by the way, on Monday. So let me walk you through it. See if it's something you might want to do to really elevate the quality of your writing. It starts with the concept and conventions. Now, you just went through the brainstorm session. I just showed you a brainstorm session for those. You're going to pick the best one, the one you like the best. You bring it into the class. I'll give you more details on what makes these work. So you then look at the ones that you've worked with and the ones you've picked, and you elevate them. You make them yours. Then from there, we go to the monster and the primal fears. Having a great monster is important. Connecting it to one or more of the primal fears is critically important. You want your audience to start being afraid the moment they hear the concept. Then it's about the survivors and victims. Who are these characters? How do they fit into this story? Why are they the ones? From there, we're going to build your plot. Now, let me say something. This is incredibly important. There are a lot of people that create drama with horror elements. I'm going to tell you that doesn't sell. I don't know any horror producers that buy drama with horror elements, and I don't know any drama producers that want drama with horror elements. So you need to create a real horror movie. And here's how you do it. You're going to build your plot. We're going to do it with 4 steps. First, the horror situation track. So this is, what's the opening horror situation? What's the big horror situation that happens at the end of Act 1? What's the one at the midpoint? What's the ones that lead up to the final climax? And what are the horror situations that happen at the final climax and during the resolution? And so if you get great at creating those kind of horror situations and can sequence them properly, you're going to be amazing in this when somebody reads the actual script. Once you have those laid out, then you build in the character death track. Who dies, when, and why? And there's a lot of people that will say, oh, it doesn't matter. And by the way, anybody could die at any time. And while it's true, anybody could die at any time. Knowing who dies, when they die, and why is going to make your writing so much stronger when we get to their character deaths. So you'll lay that out all the way across the whole story. Then it's the monster reveal track. When do you reveal the monster and what parts do you reveal? Some monsters, like if you look at A Quiet Place, that monster, we just see a blur go by and the little kid's dead. So the first time we see the monster, we're seeing what the monster does, basically, and that we can't see him. By the very end, we are seeing the entire monster, standing over the bathtub, all of that kind of thing, and we know exactly what it looks like. So when did they reveal what and why? So you will design how you reveal that monster to make the monster as intriguing as possible, as interesting as possible, and as horrific as possible. Then it's about the character journey track. I've actually had people say, the characters in horror movies don't have journeys, and that's just crazy. They just haven't looked. Look at Scream, the opening scene of Scream. We have Drew Barrymore, who was the biggest star of the movie. She gets a phone call. She's in her house. She's having fun. She's flirting with a guy on the phone and everything else. Then he's asking her about horror. She's going through things and she's kind of attracted to him, but she's not sure. Then he scares her and then he calls her back again, tells her not to hang up or she's going to get killed. And now she's going into terror, right? She's starting to worry. She runs in the next room and runs right into him. Is chased outside. The last thing she sees before she dies is her boyfriend is already dead. She has a journey, and it's a very specific journey, and it's designed to do a whole bunch of things. Every one of your main characters have a character journey that needs to be thought out. And we will walk you through exactly the logic of that, how it works, how to make those decisions, and you'll be amazing because of it. Then we go into the character emotions. This was the hardest thing we had to create. And let me tell you why. Most people, when they think about horror emotions, they're just kind of living the experience that's happening while they're writing it. What we did was we looked at it and we said, you know what? The greatest horror writers actually think about how the emotions are sequenced into the scenes. So there's a series of emotions here, right? It's like it starts with the lowest level, apprehension, goes all the way to the highest level, hysteria. And most people, again, if you ask them, like if we take anguish, for instance, first, do you know what anguish actually is? And the difference between it and, say, dread or panic or horror or hysteria. So we went in and defined them in one single sentence. So you can look at the word anguish and instantly know, do I want this in the scene? And then we spent 2 months with a development team of people who have all had horror movies made, and we brainstormed and came up with a one sentence answer for how to do every single one of these, a how to. So you look at anguish, you know the definition, you know what it means and what it's about, and we give you one sentence how to do it, how to create anguish in any scene. You also know how to create fear or surprise or panic or horror or hysteria in any scene. And then once you have those, then we work with how you build them into the scares and creepy moments and how you use them in the midst of what we call scary as hell horror scenes. Uh, and you need at least 5 of these in your script. And they need to be scary as hell. They're not just something where, oh, something just jumps out at us and we're scared, or somebody gets killed and we're scared. They need to be designed where they work you through a series of emotions. Like you might start with apprehension. The character's like, hey, I heard a noise, right? And then from there, go to suspense. We see something outside that's coming in. And then from there, go to panic, for instance. Somebody freaks out. It's like, oh my God, they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. And from there, the monster steps in and they go into pure hysteria. They have lost complete control of their emotions, right? And their body, really. And if you notice, I just picked 5 of these and created a scene, and you can do that. Once you've worked with them, you'll be able to take it down here to the scary as hell horror model and be able to create a scene that takes that audience through a series of emotions. They start down here and boom, they work their way up until they are completely freaked out. You write in this way using just these, and any horror producer that reads it is going to want to either option your script or hire you as a screenwriter for one of theirs. So then it's about turning up the heat. And finally, how do you keep it low budget and marketable? Both of these might be critical to your success. You might be able to write the same movie at 20 million and not be able to sell it, but you can sell it at 4 million. And keep a piece of the back end and be part of the process as you move through it. So this will change the level at which you write. It will take your writing to such a much higher level. It will have you writing smart horror, and it will have you having tremendous respect from any producer that reads your work. I have gotten multiple writers into this industry who have gone through this class and demonstrated all those skills in their scripts. Now, again, the dates, it starts on Monday. And that's what I think it's like May 26th. Monday night, you'll start this class. As soon as, again, tonight, I will get you the horror prompts, and you can go right into ChatGPT, start brainstorming, brainstorm projects in between now and Monday night, pick the best. If you already have an idea that you want to write, and you're committed to it, bring that in, go ahead, run that through the whole thing. You will end up with an incredible horror script. The normal price on this is $199. Usually at this point, that's the price. But something just happened. Cheryl had to leave town, and she didn't set it up, so I can give you the special that we offered 2 weeks ago. So the special, and this is for the first 10 writers, is $149. It will save you $50. Normally, you'd be paying $199 at this point. First 10 get in at $149. The second 10 get in at $179, and then it jumps up to the $199 price. I promise you, even if you end up paying the full price on this, this program will shift what is possible for you as a writer. It will make you will have the tools to be able to write incredible horror scripts. You will have such a much better chance of winning contests, breaking into this industry, getting an agent or manager, anything you're trying to do, because you have a script that from the moment they start reading it, they're just going, oh my God, audiences are going to love this. They're going to go out of their way to see this movie. They're going to recommend it to everyone. So if that's something you want to do, come join us, learn these skills, master this, and go for it. Again, I'll get you the prompts this evening, and your job in between now and Monday is to brainstorm at least 3 different horror concepts a day. Our particular prompt is specifically designed to have it come up with new and unique ideas. So make sure that you at least use that so that you get a chance to see all kinds of different ideas before you come in. So with that, all you got to do to sign up is go over here, write this link down, bit.ly, bit.ly/horror sign up. There's no spaces, no caps, no dashes. Again, just write it down, bit.ly, bit.ly/horror sign up. Put that in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, come join us for this class that is going to change your life as a writer. You will be able to do all these things that most horror writers just kind of mimic what they've seen. This will give you really high level skills, and you will be blown away by what you end up creating. So again, this is the link, bit.ly/horror sign up. Put it in the browser. If you can, hopefully you make that first 10. If you don't make the first 10, hopefully you make the second 10. And either way, you're going to end up doing something that blows you away and makes a difference in your writing career. So this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you already see a path to your success. And again, I absolutely wish you the best with this horror script that you're going to write. Bye-bye, everyone.